Good evening and welcome to MOE Facebook Live Chat AMAA Ask Me Anything About P1 Transition. I'm Elise Tan, Principal from Rosyth School, and I'll be your host for this evening AMAA session. As educators and parents, we understand that P1 transition is an important milestone for our young children from preschool. We would like to support them as much as we can to make the transition a smooth and fruitful one. This would mean paying attention to both cognitive and non-cognitive skills with an emphasis on social and emotional skills and positive attitudes towards learning, which will aid in a smoother transition to primary school and help them to be ready to learn. We hope that parents also understand that an overemphasis on academic preparation may result in the child being easily bored, understimulated, and disliking going to school. We hope that at this AMAA sessions, the panelists and participants can share and learn from one another, exchange tips on how and what parents can do to support and bond with their children through primary one, including making use of the upcoming year-end holidays to prepare their child for primary school. To ensure that the live chat session will be an enriched and fruitful one, I'd like to share on some ground rules. First, let's stay on the topic because the panel will not be answering questions that fall outside the discussion, even if the question is very well liked. Two, let's be respectful, do ask and comment politely, keeping in mind others' perspectives and feelings. We also seek your understanding that the live session is only for an hour and we may not be able to respond to all the questions asked. But don't worry, as MOE will continue to support our parents with resources, for example, the guidelines for school-home partnership, transition resources, and parents' kit, which can be found on the MOE website. In addition, there will be polls for participants to take part in the course of the chats, and we'll also encourage participants to share tips that other parents can benefit from. Now, I'd like to introduce to you my fellow panelist member. She's Mrs. Esther Fung. Esther is a mother of two wonderful school-going children. She's an entrepreneur
Oh,
that runs her
wonderful.
own business. Yes, and is also an active blogger. Hi, Esther.
Hello,
I
everyone.
understand.
I'm Esther.
Yes,
Yeah,
Esther, I understand that your child
hmm.
went to P1 this year. Your girl went to P1 this year. Could you probably just
uh,
start by sharing with us a good experience in supporting your child to transit to
I
primary
was
school
just,
and what worked well for you so that we can consider?
mm, well, immediately throw me this banner. So, anyways, I think my girl has a very interesting P1. I mean, which P1 kid gets to go to school for one term and then the school closed down and then get to transit one more time to get used to school, getting used to school twice for primary school because of COVID. So, okay, my girl is P1, my boy is P3. So, we have gone through 2 rounds of P1 transition. Tips wise, I think there are many things that we had done and also we had not done. But I think some interesting thing, I was just asking my daughter what's the most interesting thing we did with them. They say it would be the canteen auntie experience at home. So I think many of you are worried also this year don't we won't be able to go to the primary school canteen for the children to experience how it feels like to order food, buy food, right? So being a very dramatic mom. So my husband and I, we try to mimic how canteen can feel like because we thought buying food with such a short time, our children they feel very stressed or anxious, especially when they don't know what to order, and then the auntie in front of him or her may be saying things like, Miss Xiaomei, faster, faster, quick, what you want? And then the 哥哥姐姐 or maybe behind saying things like, faster, recess over already, quickly order. So we mimic that at home lah, but with real money and then some plates, and also to go through like what are some options in the food, stuff like that lor. So that is one thing
Mm,
that she remember very fondly lah. Yeah, but of
mm.
course,
So,
we can't fully do that. So, I would recommend you can also start letting your children try buying food at the food court. let them order. At least you are still around to guide them, and then it's a more realistic situation for them to get used. Especially next year, coming because of COVID, we can't visit, so this is something you can try.
So that role dramatization, the experience, even if you go out with the little ones at the food court, may really help them to practice some of this independence, right? At the same
Yeah,
time,
yeah.
we do have a lot of questions on P1 orientation. Parents, of course, like what you said, asking that in this COVID situation that we don't have a physical P1 orientation, how can we actually better prepare our kids and also our parents to go into primary school because they haven't like physically visited the school in terms of its physical facilities. So maybe what we can, I hope that, I think our parents are right in the sense that the physical P1 orientations is that definitely have its value because it does give a sense of security and familiarity to our students,
Yeah,
right? Our children when they go
surely.
into the new school. But given this COVID situation, and although the cases are low in the community, but situation can change between now and January, I think what the school has tried also to balance with some of this safety, measures management, it is really to present some of this virtual experience of the, the people orientation of the tour of the school by extending and showing some of the pictures of the facilities and the canteen, the different, classrooms, the hall, just to familiarize our parents with and our little ones, the P1s coming in a bit more. The other thing that what we
Actually,
can also look at,
oh,
yeah, no
yeah,
problem. I would just say that MOE also has this 360 virtual tour that they sort
wow.
of filmed it, yeah, and they put it on the MOE live YouTube. That can actually parents can actually take their children, their P1 children going to P1 to take a look at this virtual 360 tour. May not be exactly the same as the school environment, but it gives a sense of that hugeness, in terms of the environment, the children that are moving around the school. I think that's
I
something
got a
that
tip.
what tip do you have?
Yeah, because last time, no matter what, although we put so much emphasis on the P1 orientation, but technically it's only a few hours,
Mm,
lah, nothing much, just walking through,
yeah.
right? So my kid managed, both my children managed to have it, but I don't think I'm kiasu, but so what I did was we actually went onto the school website, and then we actually to help the children familiarize with a place. Usually, it's not just about the surrounding. I would say knowing the history of the school, how the school was built, it create an affiliation and a connection. So we actually went to the school website, we read the history of the school, we even talk about the color of their uniform, what each color meant, and then we play the school song because all this will enable them that the first day when they go, hey, this song I've heard it before, I sang it so many times during the school holidays. And we also, because by then actually we also don't know whether we will have gotten to meet Phoebe's form teacher or whether she had seen the form teacher. So what we did was to create that there is at least a few people that she remember faces and she feel more secure. So we went to the website and show the principal's photo and the vice principal's
Mm,
photo and the P1 level head's photo. So at least they are familiar faces that she will feel a bit safer. So
mm-hmm.
COVID times, things are different, but we just have to find a way around to still create that familiarity, I feel.
Yeah, I think like what Esther has said rightfully. So do leverage on. I mean, all schools have started to probably do an e-tour with pictures and facilities, and even some put up videos to show what are some of the normal activities in school. And parents can actually like spend time with the kids to just run through some of this virtual experience, so that they feel familiar to the experience when they go into the primary school. And definitely the first 3 days, the teachers will still take them around to visit the different places in the school. It's just that we have be a bit more patient and don't expect them to know everywhere, every space in the schools. The teachers will take them in good hands. And I think what you parents can do is on the first day when they come back to school, don't be too anxious to ask them, do you know this place? Do you know how to get from here to there? But just ask questions like, oh, which interesting place do you visit in the school today, and tell me all about it. And then I think you can keep a conversation going. And for all you know, is really to assure our children that, hey, you're as parents, you're quite happy to know that they can learn about this place, tell you about it, and maybe encourage them, they too, to actually discover and share with you a bit more about other places. Yeah. Okay.
But
I think
Elise,
we have, yes.
yeah.
Uh,
I saw some of them mentioning about the TraceTogether token. So how?
okay.
I
Yes.
don't know P1
About
or
this.
all those.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can see that. I think some of our participants are also asking about the Trace Together token, whether students will need to have it on them, and whether picking up as a trending topic. Okay, so all right. So for Trace Together token, we just want to assure our parents that don't worry. No child would be denied entry into the school, even they don't have the Trace Together token. All right. And the school do have our attendance taking module that will synchronize some of this attendance taking in the school.
Yeah,
So they don't have to worry that, without the Trace Together token, they will not be allowed to come to school. In fact, they will. And they will be safe in school. And we just have to wait for some of this, the news and the updates on how some of this Trace Together token will unveil in the community as towards the end of the year. Yeah.
yeah. I haven't picked up mine either. Anyways, hey, everyone's comments are coming too fast. Most likely cannot finish answering all lah. So let's just pick some lah, okay?
Okay.
Also
And we
because we
have
won't have all the answers.
yes. I think we
I
have
saw one
this
though, how to prepare the child academically
show
from
academic.
K2 to P1. So I answer.
Okay.
Okay,
Probably I could
anyways, I
answer
think
first.
you
Okay
can
lah.
try.
I just want to I think want to assure our parents that actually like what we said, over preparing some of this academic preparations may do counter to some of their transition to school and ready to learn. Importantly is to really to focus on the positive attitudes towards learning. Even like, for example, some parents could be very concerned about mother tongue, Hanyu Pinyin. Must I make sure that they know all the Hanyu Pinyin? Answer is no. In fact, coming into school, the teachers will teach them, all right, some of this very basic Hanyu Pinyin. Yeah.
This one I think come from my own experience lah.
Mm-hmm.
Regarding whether to prepare and how much to prepare. Among my parent friends and all, right, everyone at about K1, K2 started sending their children for preparatory classes. My husband and I actually made a firm decision that we are not going to go too overboard. Reason being, we discussed about this thing called over learning, and I've observed that when a child already know what they are learning, what the teacher is teaching, sometimes they will not be able to concentrate so well because they'll always be in this position that I already know what you're talking about. I already learned this before. You are so boring, teacher. You're repeating everything I know. And it will actually create this attitude towards learning that nah, I'm not going to listen. And I'm just worried that over time my children will have this pride thing or what lah. So we actually held back from sending them for a lot of tuition or whatsoever. So we held back. We also didn't do any preparatory classes, but basic things like being able to read. So we spent a lot of time letting them read. So there are some words that we feel that we should teach them now, like the basic sight words. But other than that, I think enjoying learning would be a big key for us. And I think we saw the results of it because my children, even now Nathan at P3, although many of their friends are actually working on P4 things, but he told every time when he come back with that, the sparkle in the eye that, Mama, today I learned multiplication. Then in my heart, I'm like, actually your friend learned it 3 years ago. But every day he is so excited about school. Every day he doesn't fall asleep in class because it's always something new. So don't, like what Madam Tan mentioned, really don't have to worry too much. Also, if your child really has some learning needs or needs some learning support, I do know that there are specific specialized teachers who will bring them out in smaller classes, right? Like 1:5 or
Yeah.
6, right?
Yeah.
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 So
So
would
in
all
fact,
be okay one, right?
yes, and like what Esther said, I think our teachers do understand that all our P1 children come into school at different starting point and also with
That's
different
right.
readiness. And in fact, we do have school programs. Teachers are also equipped to be able to see how they can look after, even in a class of 30, they through their interactions and the daily work with them, to be able to see how they can actually support small groups with customized, catered resources to help them to be able to, go on their own pace at age appropriate.
Yeah,
I think
yeah,
importantly, like Esther said, sometimes if over preparations can really kill the joy of learning and erode it. So as much as we think that the academic skills is something that we really want to prepare our children, I think often we don't want to confuse and that actually the social emotional skills are even more important than the academic
yeah,
skills.
yeah.
And like what Esther said, we do see some children, sometimes they come in and they think that they know everything. They can get complacent, they can get bored, and sometimes some of this misbehavior do surface when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
think that they know all. Yeah. So it's always good to keep that element of newness, learning, surprises for young children, because that really helps young children to, like what Esther said, have the sparkle, in mind, to be
Yeah.
able to go to school, look forward to things that they are learning every day. I think that's important. Yeah,
I saw I
we
saw
also.
I saw some question. I Kipo on the panel, so go and scroll through that. And also someone also messaged me regarding like what about bullying?
Yes.
Would there now the school so big, my child from K2, the oldest kid now in primary school, become the youngest kid. Will there be bullying? So everyone, I went to ask my P1 girl. I say, how do you handle bullying if you actually face with bullying? So I'm gonna be a proud mama and say that she's quite brilliant. She told me Valentine, she said, you need to first make sure whether it's bullying first. If it's just someone accidentally push you, you must first make sure that bullying is a consistent, pestering and aggressive, targeted kind of gesture towards you. I think the school taught them to
Yes.
learn how to define bullying, is it? If not,
Yes.
how
Yes.
she's so
You're
specific.
right. You're right. You're right to say that. First of all, I think the students probably it's good that your daughter shows that discernment between something that could be accidental to something that is consistently and targeted. I think that is a good discernment, and we usually also could tell our students, try to unpack what are bullying behaviors that could include verbal or physical aggressions targeted at so a person, a student, consistently over times, and something that's very
But
intentional. Yeah.
But
So
I
having
think if
said that,
really faced with bullying, oh sorry, I think our timing a bit, yeah, don't know it's the lack of the internet or what. So I think in the case of bullying, right, I always told my children that it be they are the victim or what. First thing I need to make sure our children are not the actual bully. But if even if they are not victim, I think we can unite together to handle bullying in school by teaching our children to be courageous bystanders
yes,
in terms of
yeah,
what to do in case of bullying, but be courageous bystanders who will stand up for victims. That unity will bring down bullying in school. So I think what to do in case of bullying would be training our children to know when to speak up and to define and differentiate what is bullying and what is not.
and like what Esther said, it is also important that I think as parents, if you do, in your conversations of your children going to school, and you see, there's a change in their emotions, they feel sad, they feel scared, and allow to have that conversation for them to share very openly with you, acknowledge some of these emotions, and definitely if it's really affecting the child a lot, so much so that the child is not looking forward to go to class, going to school with the friends, then please alert the teacher. All right, let the teachers know, and definitely the teachers will come in to be able to find out a bit more, assure the child. Together, like what Esther said, the friends, the classmate will also be taught, and in terms of some of this bystanders, what do you do, how to seek help, and where to find help, and how to do it together with their friends or with their teachers. But don't worry, I think children generally have a good sense of justice. They really
Yes.
do.
Yes.
They know what are the
I
naughty
mean,
things that
I have
they
two
shouldn't do
police at
harm to
home
them,
and
like that, right? Yeah, and they will be very upfront to do that sense of justice by letting the teachers know, they will come together. So that's something that we
Yeah.
probably would help our parents to be a little bit more assured.
Yeah, frankly, I really think our teachers are doing a very good job. Um, in case y'all think, because every time praise MOE, somebody will scold me. But I just want to give credit and honor to things that they have done well. Because my daughter is actually someone who is very, very outgoing and stuff like that. So during our first PTM this year, when we spoke to the principal, the form teacher actually told us that she's a bit worried because my daughter has no friends. And frankly, I was very shocked because she is actually very friendly. So I think transition is very real. They are adapting, they're observing. But I'm very, very thankful for her form teacher who actually really looked out for her and found and purposely pair her with another friend who actually need her to take care of her a little bit more, and then also gave her a little task and purposely brought friend to sit with her, of course with the acrylic stand in between, sit with her during recess so that they can have conversations. So I think it also helped that the primary 1 and 2 class sizes are a lot smaller. So not like our time, 43, 51. Now it's kept below 20, kept 20 plus. I think that is a very, very good size for them to mingle well and the teacher can catch hold. This is so good. Yep. So I think they will do fine. Children are actually tougher than what we think they are.
I think there are also participants as we are seeing coming in to again. I think they are quite concerned about whether this year is a different year, it's an unprecedented year, and trying to see whether we could have the physical orientation. Like what we just shared just now, we really need to consider how the situation unfolds. It can be a very fluid one, but at this point in time, we just want to assure that we give our children a bit more time, because it's not just about the transition to the physical building per se. It's also like what Esther have shared with you, the transitions to new friends, peers, and teachers. And do make use of some of this virtual outreach and resources to help our little ones to get familiar to the people that's in school, like what Esther said, the school song, beyond the physical
Yes.
buildings. Yes. So that's
Yeah,
something that we hope.
familiarity is really not limited to physical orientation, because that 2 hours, frankly, it is not everything. So we are quite funny lah. We even let Phoebe wear the school uniform, take picture, and then check the website. Red color means what? Then the crest, the logo of the school means what? Then they feel, wow, I'm gonna be this primary school's kid very soon. That kind of excitement will help them will prepare them a lot better for emotionally. Yep. So,
Mm.
first day of school, I saw a really cute question. Tell parents what will happen during, as in what, share with you all what will happen during first day. I share. First 3 days, play, 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 make friends, make friends, make friends. Don't worry, they are not going to take exam on the first day, plus P1, P2, no exam. So, first day, they will have to go to the canteen for sure, which they are very excited. I heard from my friend, her daughter on the first day of school bought 4 erasers. So you are worried about this first day of school, you can tell them not to go to bookstore and spend all their money. Yeah, first day usually, I think for my 2 kids, they really enjoyed orientation week. That's why I say physical orientation is just that one-off thing. It's the first 3 days, or some schools actually have 5 days, right? They play, they got to know their friends. Phoebe came back with like little nice booklet that they have to go around collecting the names and their favorite color of each of their friends. And then they have a map that they have to tour the school, and then they start plotting the map. Very, very fun. And I
Yes.
think very fast they will find their way to the bookshop. Very fast.
Mm-hmm. For all the interesting things that are sold at the bookshop, right? Yeah, so for schools, I'm sure most of our schools, or even all schools, we understand that we want to study right for our children. Yeah, so the first 3 days, sometimes like what Esther said, some schools have 3 days, sometimes have school days, but definitely the first few days is really about starting them right there will be no teaching, so no need to worry about what books to bring. Basically, it will be really orientating the students into that physical build, the school, the facilities. They will get to know what are common places that they will visit. And like what you said, there'll be interesting, get to know each other, one another in the class, activities. They get to appreciate and find out names. There'll be icebreakers for them to be able to know their friends, their teachers, and probably also slowly set in some of the very easy routines of coming to class. What do they do? Even especially for this year, I think we also want to insist that and also help them to understand some of the safety measures that they will have to do. Like, for example, going to the canteen, they should wash their hands. We do wipe down. So these are very important routines that we'll start them in our first 3 days. So it will be fun. It will be quite exciting to make new friends. There'll be new routines, new places to visit, at least for the first 2-3 days before any formal sort of lessons and teaching would take place. Yeah.
Yeah. But I think some important tips I would really recommend all the parents to look out for would really to ensure that your children actually know their dismissal arrangement very clearly. Because I have heard of many instances that the children actually aren't very sure during the first day what's the dismissal arrangement going to be, or maybe the second day when the parents don't pick them up anymore. Are they supposed to take the school bus? Are they supposed to go to student care? And even student care, there are many student care supporting each school. So make sure your child actually know very specifically the name of the student care that they are going to, and the student care personnel who will be picking them up, school buses, which bus number, and things like that. I think sometimes school refusal cases or like how children dislike going to school sometimes need not be the school, is how well we prepare our children. So I would say make sure they have their name tags on, make sure they have memorized their telephone number. These are little things that we have done with our kids lah. And then make sure they really know the dismissal arrangement very well. Yep.
Yeah. So the first 3 days, definitely there will be a timetable given out, and in printed form. Parents would know, like what Esther said, some of the routines, the timetable, in terms of when the students go to the canteen for their food, what time is dismissal. Usually the dismissal arrangement will also be made known in prior arrangement. How would the students go back from home, all right, to schools? And we will even do rehearsal sometimes just to make sure they get into the right bus number.
Oh,
We
that's
will also make
nice.
sure that they will, by the different transport mode, who are those that are going, by foot to go home, who are those being picked up by their parents with driving vehicles. So some of this, even we plan for rehearsals for them to just get into that routine to ensure that happens for our children.
That is really good.
Yeah. Okay, let's see some of the questions that are also coming in. Teachers. Okay, we do have a question from Jeannie. Jeannie asks, given that it's going to be a huge transition for the children, which we did say, will the teachers be on the lookout for the kids? Oh, definitely. I think the teachers and the co-form teachers will stay with them. Lessons will be suspended in that sense. They will stay with them for the first 2 days, right from the start when parents come in. I think the schools will have arrangement for the parents to drop them off at a certain safe area to wait in, and then the teachers will bring them to the classroom, looking out for them. The teachers would definitely, as they come in, settle them down emotionally, play with them, introduce a class to them. And if in case there are some kids that probably need a bit more adjustment, like for example, even for routines like buying food, or even in terms of like going to the toilet, some of these things, the teachers will watch out for them a bit more. They will be safe. The teachers will watch over them, and they
Yep.
won't be left alone. Yeah, to actually go
Plus,
around
I think not just
yeah.
the teachers. I know that schools have this thing called the buddy system, because both my children, both times at P1, they actually love their buddy. As the buddy, Nathan had a buddy from P3, and then Phoebe had a buddy from P4. So the buddy actually, during recess, before recess, picked them up from the classroom, and then during the first 3 days of school, really sat with them and then brought them to buy food, and then teach them how to dig through their wallet to find the right coin. Recommended them the different stores. I even took a tour with them to the eco garden and stuff like that. I think that kind of intimate tour guide buddy system, it was so good.
Yeah. Okay, we have another question from about going to the canteen and how much pocket money parents have concern about how much pocket money to give to our little
Hmm.
ones, how to manage of
Manage
their
their
children's
child's break times.
break times. Okay,
Mm.
so typically, let's say in the school, the meals can be ranging from, let's say, a medium size of about 150, large size if your children need a bit bigger portion, it could be like
Big
180.
eaters.
So yeah, big eater. So you probably, I think if you ask me, the pocket money, $2 to $3 would be a good guide to just give our children that amount, not too much also, so that they don't carry too much money with them and they lose it. That will also be something that they worry about. Um, and also because of the different, usually for our primary one and primary two, they do have a break time, a snack time that we put in because the hours usually in primary one gets a bit longer. Some of them take the school bus home, so they may reach home slightly later after 1:30, the dismissal time. So we usually will put in a snack time at about 11:30 to 12, depending on how the school worked out. So it will be good and helpful if parents can pack in some very easily, accessible, not too messy, healthy snack, just to give that sandwich bite, or to our little ones during their snack time that they can consume before they go
Yeah.
home for their lunch.
Yeah, but the first few days, I think parents be prepared that your child would actually be very hungry at dismissal because they are still learning how to eat a bit faster because recess time is a bit shorter, or that maybe they haven't bought the food that they like and hence they're still getting used. So what I recommend is the first week of school, always prepare a little snack when you pick them up from school. And sometimes they may also be too tired. So during dinner, if they are a bit sluggish, don't feel like eating so enthusiastically, I think can give and take for the first week because there are so many changes in their life that first week. So let's not have meal time become another stressful time for them, especially when they are already so trying to transit in many ways lah. Yeah, this one really, I think we can have empathy towards our children. We may be very excited, but take it easy, take it easy.
Okay, we have a question from Gavin. Gavin
Mm.
asked, let me see, Gavin asked, how can schools improve communications with parents? Yes, I think, especially for primary school, the communication of parents are very important. So different schools would probably have different modes of communications with their parents. I think one of the things that our parents should be on board is the Parents Gateway, PG in short. Recently, I think that is something that we embark for all schools. This is a very efficient and effective communication as far as schools communicate with our parents, to be on the Parents Gateway, that you can sign with your SingPass and be on board this, because that's where parents can send letters of notifications and getting consent from you on some of the learning activities to the school.
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
the student handbook is also one communication mode that our parents can communicate with our teachers. Sometimes you can write short notes to let your children's teachers know that if there's something that you need to communicate to him or her, the teachers to look out or to communicate or to clarify some of the things regarding the children's learning. So do find out in terms of what the school's communication modes will be. Email is one way that you can also reach out to the teachers, and you can also call
Mm.
in to the general office where there will be a message to be left for the teachers to call you back if they need to. But we do seek our parents' understanding that the teachers may not be able to immediately respond to your call, but the message will definitely be relayed. And so because sometimes they do need to teach and they do have their lessons.
Yep, yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Mhm.
have we have
So
we have one question keep coming. I also want to ask, like, we all can go and see what our children bought for the first day during recess. This time around with COVID, are we still able to do that? Mandy asked that
um,
question. Can parents still go?
like what we said at this time, we are not probably having our parents to come into the school to watch their children, having recess. But all the arrangements have been made where there'll be teachers with them. They will have recess, to really look after them, to see how they buy their food. Some of them may pack their own food. Having said so, I think some schools, like even for our school, we are looking at how we can take some live, shots and pictures that we can sort of like, send it to our parents through a gallery. They can watch their children saying, hi, I'm fine, I'm eating, and I'm well. All right. So these are some
Yeah. But
things.
who knows? Who
But
knows? Phase three is coming. Who knows, right?
yes,
So
yes,
we just
yeah.
wait lah. Wait for your announcement,
Mm,
okay?
and hopefully things move a bit better, and we will probably see how we can actually, within the safety management measures, that we can also look at some of our parents coming in as a class to welcome some of these parents coming into the school.
Yeah,
We're
yeah.
also
Lah,
looking at
we as
possibly.
parents really desire, we as parents, especially those first time P1 parents,
Sure.
please understand our desire to want to see them. Yeah. Especially if
Yeah,
we
and
are a bit worried whether they can adapt well. I think there's a
yeah,
question on it also.
yeah. Okay,
My
we have
this is
this questions from
from
Norisa.
Nuraisa. Nuraisa.
She's asking how to overcome or handle her child's emotions. I think relating that
Mm,
her
mm,
child could be a bit shy, lack of self-confidence, and sometimes she tends to just cry out if she doesn't know that person. I think that is
mm, mm,
understandable, because
mm,
our children may not all be so comfortable with new faces and teachers. So that's why one thing that is good is that, like what Esther said, we try to show the pictures of the teachers that the children are going to be taught by. Two is that I think, not to worry, the teachers will look out for some children that probably is a bit quieter and or more reserved to themselves. They will reach out to these children a bit more if they need a bit more support and assurance. And teachers will
mm.
also structure groups for students to come in to be able to work with one another in smaller groups rather than handling it over a class. So they will take time to be able to so-called work with one another. Some teachers also, after 1 to 2 days, see that there are different children that probably is a bit more ready, not as shy, and pair them with buddies to have them to have like a close friend, a few close friends to play with, to eat with, and to learn with. So some of these little
Yep,
steps
yep.
will get the children a bit more assured. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for parents, what we can do would also be to teach our children how to introduce themselves. So, because sometimes they don't know how to strike conversations like adults know. So, I think little methods could be just teaching them, like, hi, my name is da, da, da. Can I sit with you, please?
Mm,
Hi, what is the book that what are you reading? Oh, I also like that. So, teaching them some of these skills and practicing these social skills would be helpful, especially you mentioned that
yep,
they are quite shy. You can start with
yep.
letting your children play with their cousins during, and then let them interact with people who are slightly more familiar, and then slowly
Mm.
transit. Mm.
Yeah, in fact, sometimes we assume, like what Esther said, that things that is quite easy to the adults, their children can do it, but they probably need a bit more
Some
explicit
handles.
scaffolding, support, exactly what words to say. So role
Mm,
play
mm.
with them a bit more at home. Pretend that I'm your
Yes,
friend.
yes.
How will you want to introduce and teach them very basic things like even thank you. May I join you for this game? May I eat with you? And so hi, so and so. What's my name? All these very explicit words of introductions, engagement. We really help
Yeah,
them to and
yeah,
practice it with them. Role play. I think that
yeah,
that will
yeah.
give build a bit more confidence. Yeah. We have
Mm.
from Wixin. Thank you for your question. Wixin asked, how are kids assessed when there isn't any test in P1? Yes. So I think probably we all know that recently there's this understanding that for our P1 and P2 there won't be so-called weighted assessments. But just to share with all our parents that doesn't mean that there is no weighted assessments in terms of test and exam. We do not assess our children in that sense to gauge their learning progress. And for learning progress, it comes from at different points beyond just the pen and paper test that we used to do. Teachers will observe, for example, their daily work, sometimes through different performance tasks, like could be show and tell, how they're learning and coping in terms of showing some of this manipulatives that they're demonstrating their understanding to the different skills and knowledge of the different subjects. So there are definitely many points that the teachers look at, and rather than just relying on the pen and paper one test and then determine how the children will be assessed. So different
Yep.
subjects will have different learning outcomes for
Yep.
to actually inform our parents in terms of how the children are progressing in the different subjects. And like what I said,
I,
they
I
will come in portfolios and worksheets. Yeah,
I think quite
yeah.
interesting because initially I was a bit apprehensive because I'm like, I need to see numbers that I know like how well is well and
Mm,
how not well is not well. So the first time when I
mm,
received my children's a report book and it's actually things like meeting expectation, exceeding expectation, uh, or even below expectation, I think there are some assessment range, right? So in the end, actually, firstly, it didn't cause me to be so 莽张 for that 9/10 or 49/50, but
exact
loosen up
scores,
a
right?
bit. So yeah, but it was the detail of the report card that shocked me because it's no longer like a test paper mark, but there are things like able to add and subtract within 20, then no, able to add within 20, then one line, then able to subtract within 20, able to know what is first, second, third, fourth, as in by sequence. So in the end, I was still able to be, actually in the end, it was more specific for me to know what to work on rather than a test paper. Sometimes I also don't know which part of the test paper cover which skill. So quite interesting so far. And then, I mean, even
Mm.
dribbling a ball, whether she dribble well or not, it was also in the report card. So okay lah. Now I need to practice more dribbling. She didn't do too well for that. Okay, candidly. Okay, some more questions.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, there's one question still from our Jacqueline. Jacqueline, thank you for your question. Jacqueline asks how to prepare the child from adjusting the routine of waking up early, etc. Yes, that's a very important question, right?
Very important. I have one
Yes,
very
I.
important tip. Don't
Okay,
start
yes,
the
Esther,
day
you please.
before. Don't start
Yes,
the day before.
they
Poor
cannot wake up in time,
kid.
right? Yeah. So I
So
think
yeah,
definitely
sorry.
the hours have changed, right? From preschool, longer hours, waking up a bit early if they're taking the school bus. So just like us, even for young children, we have to start probably a few weeks, even a month, just to
Yes,
slowly
yes,
stagger
yes,
the sleeping routines, right? So you cannot expect them to, if they have been sleeping late and then suddenly they have to wake up like, 6 o'clock in the morning, then they will get
yes, yes. I
grouchy
think
and
this
then that's the struggle
age,
to school.
yes,
Yeah.
this age may need to really sleep a bit more. But if I can give you something that we did, which I hope will help you, for both my kids, we did it because initially they were at a different school. So what
Mm.
happened is we literally before school is closing on 20th, is it? 20th November.
Yes,
Yeah,
November,
I think
20th of
so.
November.
So before the school closes for school holiday, we actually did a rehearsal, not just for the kids to get used, but we didn't rush lah because you can practice also safer. But it turned out that we actually didn't estimate properly the amount of time required to reach the school. Luckily, it was not the first day, so we were so severely late during our
Mm,
rehearsal. And then I was
mm,
wondering, wow, if this I only found out during the first day, most likely my tone won't be so nice. I'll be most likely being not so, I won't be as nice to my husband, maybe if he's the one driving or the one walking, like faster, faster, or maybe I'll rush my kids. So I would recommend that you all take a walk to school at that specific timing to test out if you're walking or if you're driving, or to gauge, because I know school buses, some of them come as early as 6. That means your children's sleeping hours will be so severely cut again. To let children have a fun start, right, is really to make sure physically they're strong. So I know school holidays, many times we would have more late nights because of all the Christmas celebration and stuff like that. And we want to make sure our children have a fun first week. I think minimally we can make sure that they are strong and healthy, and to also rehearse through the morning routines, so that they don't in that state of fright, or you end up scolding somebody in the family because everyone's delaying everyone. So rehearse would be what I recommend.
Yeah, and stagger that rehearsal, because to expect a sudden jump would be too much for the little one. So just
Yeah,
help
yeah,
them to
yeah,
adjust maybe every day, by an hour or half an hour that they start, waking up. If
yeah.
they have a habit of waking up late. Yeah.
Mm.
Okay. Let's see.
Oh,
Whether
thank
the
you. I see a very good tip there also. Chin In gave a good tip. Say,
Chin
let
said,
us not.
"Oh, let's not."
Oh, okay. Let us not be helicopter parents, she say. This is a milestone and never doubt the kids' ability to adapt to a new environment. I agree. Sometimes they speak the wisest words. We worry too much, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I think children generally they are very adaptive. I think it's really helping them to see through this process, recognize
Mm,
that there
mm,
will be emotions that they express as they go through some of these physical changes of waking up early, finding their ways, making new friends. So it's really about listening out to them, and at every stage, just give them the assurance, hear them out, recognize and continue to positively frame some of this experience that they can do better, all right,
mm,
as
mm.
they go through some of these changes. And for all you know, yeah, they are actually they can be very tough cookies, and they will adapt well.
Really, leh. Yeah. Phoebe dropped a tooth in school today. She didn't even cry. I'm like, not painful, man. Painful. Then I cry. It's fine. I'm like, oh, okay. I would have cried.
Okay,
That's,
there is a
yeah.
question from Priya. Any tip for a child living abroad to transit primary school smoothly? I would assume that you all have been living abroad for some time, all right, when you come back. So I think physically, definitely the environment, probably the timing is something that if there's different hours in terms of time zone. Two is that I think what will help is to familiarize the children with some of this information about the school a bit more, if you can. Sometimes it will help to even physically just zoom past, walk to the school, just to let them feel how is it like,
Yes.
from home to school and even back. Yeah, some of this would probably help them.
School websites are good, guys. The
Yeah,
gallery has
visit them a
many
bit
things for you
more.
to look
Yes.
through. All the school principal, please upkeep the website for this season. Okay. Need to stand by outside school. Do we have to? I mean, if you want to,
Sorry.
well, some parents are asking if they need to stand by outside the school on the first day at dismissal.
Ah,
I mean,
okay.
it would be
So,
nice if you can be there, but eventually you can't be there always. So yeah. So I think frankly, a lot of things is I feel is not the ultimately we must have the end in mind, which is that our children will be able to transit well. And I think the first few days, if you can be there, definitely that assuring touch, but I have to explain to them that maybe you have work after that, let them know where you would be, let them feel secure, that we each know where each other are. Then I think that's about it. To stand by outside, I don't think over a long period of time, but first day it will be nice with maybe their favorite food, right? Or favorite
mm,
fruit if you want to be healthier. Mm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
think it all also depends on the dismissal arrangement that you have made
Yes.
for your children. So, like for example, if it's the school bus that the children are going back, with, then I think it's important to know the timing so that when the kids come down from the school bus, you are really there, or at least the caregiver is there to receive the child to feel assured. And but if let's say your children are going back by walking or by foot, then what you need to probably understand is the school dismissal time. And usually school would have parents waiting area. Even in this COVID
Mm.
situations, there will be some waiting area probably outside the school adjacent to it, that it will help as a primary one teachers bring them out. Usually the P1 teachers will look out and ask the students, are your parents here? Wait with them for a while before they hand over the children to you. So if you're talking about some of this standby, I think it will be helpful at least to assure the children, depending on the different mode of arrangements that you have. All right.
Yes.
Some parents, like for us, also come in, they drive into the school. So understand what are some of the dismissal arrangement that the school has with the parents. And then it's important
Mm-mm.
to pick them up on time, because you can imagine them after a long day,
Yes.
a few days, and you see their friends going
Yeah.
back, being picked up, and they are just not picked up on time. And I think that can be quite traumatizing
Mm.
for the
Yes. Don't
little
be
ones.
late. Don't be late,
Yeah.
because
Mm,
a few minutes may seem a few hours to them.
mm,
So I saw some parents are concerned about their child allergies since they cannot recce
mm,
canteen. Actually, even though my children went to school not during the COVID season, I also don't know what the canteen food is. But what I
mm,
can do, I think what we can do as parents is really to educate our children what are their allergies. Because that's why I always say that we need to have the end in mind, because we can't be there always until when they are 20 to tell them what they should eat at the food court. So the best thing is to prepare our children, telling them what are the food that they can eat and what are the food that they should not touch. And then must explain to the children why they can't eat those food, because sometimes they think that is not going to be that severe, so they may take our words lightly if we don't explain the severity to them. So if your child really have allergies, I would recommend that really explain to them. I think that is safer than you knowing what the canteen food is, because the menu may change on, right, Madam Tan, sometimes.
yes, according to me. So I also will encourage parents, other than of course educating your own children about some of the allergies that they have, to look out for it. Also to work very
Mm.
closely with the teachers. All right, let the form
Yes.
teacher or the form teachers know exactly what the allergy is about, what kind of reactions can the child probably fall into if they got in touch with the type of allergy, so that we are in close, working together, and they know exactly what to do. So some of this medical information would really help if you can let
Yeah,
the form teacher know a bit
yes.
earlier.
And also, parents, when you all receive a student handbook, my recommendation is to religiously really fill it in, because
Mm,
there are things like emergency contacts and then food allergies. If there is a need for you to put specifically which doctor assigned to her, if him or her if really got some more serious case of allergies. Because right, if something really happened, of course the teachers can rush the computer to try and dig out, right? But the fastest would be the student handbook. So I always tell my fellow parents to really really fill in the student handbook particulars very very religiously. And if there's any changes to your contact number or the person to contact for emergency, right, update it regularly, so that in times of emergency everybody would know what to do lah. Mm.
mm. Yeah, and because like what Esther said, be it in the student's handbook that you fill in the information or get in touch with the teachers before, that will really help
Yes.
the teachers to look out for some of these students that probably have food allergy.
Mm.
And them being very young, sometimes the teachers will just accompany them, because they will be with them during the first 3 days of the canteen food during recess time, to just show
Yes.
them through the
Yes.
stalls and caution them the food that they may be allergic to, and they shouldn't buy from
Mm.
it and things like that. So the
Mm.
information, medical information, the allergy would really help the teacher to sort of help the little one to check on the allergy, that he or she doesn't come into some of this food.
Yeah, it's good. It's good. One last question lah. We're gonna be 9 o'clock already.
Wow, time flies, huh? Okay.
Question to take.
My okay, there's this question. My daughter is pretty attached to her preschool and hasn't expressed much excitement about going to primary one. What's a good way to alleviate her concerns? How? Is there any suggestions to? I'm sure they probably have know their friends for so long at preschools over at least 3 to 4 years. They're teachers, and moving
I
into a new
think
environment can be yeah. So any suggestions on how do you get them excited about going to a primary one?
I think the first thing you could do is first check with the preschool whether there are some friends who will be going to the same school, because offering some level of familiarity with them, knowing that actually one of my K2 classmates is going to be in the same school, for example, and then teaching them how to make new friends that will help. And this excitement about going to P1, actually children very fun to be with one lah. You can create it with them. For example, you can tell your child stories about when you went to P1, but please end with a happy ending. Don't talk about how our time, our teacher. No. I mean, if you have, okay, so stories about your own experience going to P1, so your tone, your excitement will rub off your child. So pretty attached to their preschool, like what Madam Tan mentioned, it is something very real because they've been there for so long. But create the excitement by using the methods that we've talked about, like school song, wear the school uniform, or check out the website, do the virtual tours. And also, I think your stories will connect the best because Papa Mama did it, I can do it too. Papa Mama say it's fun, I think I will have fun too. So the trust that your children have towards you as their parents will be the strongest tool you can offer to help them transit well. So be very careful how we talk about primary school, especially even if there's some things that you disagree about how the school is doing, be very careful when you say them and whether it's in front of your kids. We can go and do our feedback on our own with the teachers and the school, but I think it's very important for us to decide what can be said in front of children to make sure that the transition is good. Yeah, I mean, from
Yeah.
experience.
So if we can find some preschool alliance friends I get to know, that'll be very
Yes.
helpful as they go in together as friends. Two
Mm.
is if try to find out something interesting, exciting also about the new school that your child will be going into and just talk about it and ask them to try to find out, and get back to share with you and something interesting that they can look forward to. I think that may
Yeah,
really
yeah.
help them to look forward to this new experience
Mm.
of even
Can
staying
set
doing
challenges
farewell.
and targets too. Can set some
Yeah,
challenges. Like I challenge my
and,
kid to eat from store one on day one, eat from store two from day two. Create
yeah,
that kind of fun element. Yeah.
and I think what is also important is also not to sort of like stop that friendship from a preschool. Continue that
Yes, yes.
friendship going, that conversation going is also quite exciting as each of your children share about their new primary schools when they come together, so that they don't feel
Mm.
that they are cut off totally from preschool, their friends and the environment. So, and the journey
Good tip.
continues even they are elsewhere in the different schools
Mm.
and share about all the interesting things. Okay,
Mm.
Esther, I think really time flies and we had to come to a close soon to this AMAA P1 transition session. It's coming to 9 o'clock soon. So really thank you for your active participation to the sessions. We apologize if we are not able to get around all the questions that you have posted, but nevertheless, we hope that you have found the session useful in supporting and preparing your child in the transition to primary school, and you can walk
Mm.
away with some concrete tips that you can use during the upcoming year-end holiday to prepare your child for primary school. MOE will continue to support our parents with resources, all right, such as our parents kit on P1 transition and transition resources that you can refer to if you want to learn more. Do follow
Mm.
our MOE's at parentingwith.moesg Instagram account to receive some of these tips on how you can further support your children in their education journey. I think remember that learning and growing up is a continuous journey for our children. And when parents, we work with our schools and teachers closely in trust and strong partnership, our children will ease into primary school life over time, although not immediate, even though they may face initial challenges. Therefore, we just want to say, I think Esther can agree with me that the emotional support for your children and the fostering of this good bonding with them is something that should happen throughout the year and not just during this holiday or during key transition periods, because this will really ensure that our children see their parents as a trusted source of help, comfort, and support when they are in need. Okay, I think really what is important is to really continue to develop our children's cognitive and non-cognitive skills. Like what we said, don't over-prepare them academically, because it's very important to emphasize on very simple but yet very important social emotional skills that sometimes we take for granted for our young children to learn. Okay, don't be too anxious about over-preparing our children academically to risk them becoming bored, disliking to go to school, because ultimately we all want our children to enter school with positive attitudes towards learning so that they can really look forward and be motivated to learn happily, holistically with their new friends and teachers in the school. Okay, so before we end this AMAA session, I'd really like to thank Esther for taking time during in this late evening to be with us and sharing with us the valuable insights and tips to aid a smoother transition to P1. To all our parents, it has been an unprecedented year for us in schools, also at your work and home, with this COVID-19 pandemic situation looming probably still over us. Like some of you have said, we wish that we could really welcome you physically and your children in school for P1 orientation, but we can't, because during this situation is something that we want to make sure that the safety measures management are put in place. But like what we said, use the virtual tours, the virtual outreach and resources that the schools have, your new primary schools for your children have prepared for. MOE also has this virtual 360 school tour of a typical primary schools that you can actually make use of to get a sense of what primary school is like and their life is like with children going around this school. So we just want to thank you for staying strong and together to ensure that our children can learn safely and meaningfully in the schools. Okay, so with that, please take care of yourself, keep well, and goodbye. Esther, we'd like to just say goodbye to our parents.
Say bye-bye.
And wish them well. Wish them well.
Yes, your children will be fine. You will be fine. We just have empathy and patience. You'll be fine. Have a good night rest, everyone. This is also a good time for your P1 kid to sleep next time before 9.
Yes.
Good night, guys.
Take care. Good night.